In this tutorial, we will go through how to create a child protection case in the Progress V4 Child Protection module. The CP case entity records general information about the child and caregiver and summarizes the information held at the level of the care arrangements, specific needs, best interest assessment, best interest determination, incidents, and interventions. At the point of identification and enrollment for case management, there are minimum fields to be filled out in both the general and case narrative section. In the case of an unaccompanied and separated child, you should also ensure the parent and customary caregiver information is filled out. You should fill out these fields as soon as you open a case. Child protection cases should only be created for children who meet the criteria for best interest procedure. A child protection case should only be created at the moment that a CP caseworker begins to work on the child's case. For example, immediately before an interview is arranged or conducted. Note that it is only possible to have one active child protection case per child. This is important because it ensures the accountability of one child protection caseworker for the child's case. It is therefore very important to create the case before interviewing the child, because if another child protection caseworker has already started working with the child, another caseworker will not be able to create their case. If a child protection case already exists, an error notification will appear. In this case, you should contact the case manager or UNHCR Child Protection Focal Point to resolve the issue. The case manager or UNHCR CP Focal Point should contact the case owner to identify how to proceed. Child protection cases can only be created for individuals up to the age of 21 years, as per the Best Interest Procedure Guidelines, Chapter 3. Only one child protection case should be created per individual. If one case is active, another cannot be created. If a child has a closed child protection case, consider reopening the existing case rather than creating a new one, depending on the nature of the past and current issues affecting the child and the time frame between the closure and reopening. If a child protection case concerns more than one child in a family, create individual child protection cases for every child. Individual records may be copied with key information changed for each child, particularly the best interest assessment and BID. It is important to note that the counseling entity can be used by non-child protection users or persons who do not own the CP case to take notes on their interactions with a child or any individual. This might be the case at registration, for example, where a non-CP user is informed by a family that one of the children has a specific need. They can then record what information they have been given and what they did. CP users, however, as a general rule, should not use this entity, but rather the CP entities. It's also not a good idea to write very sensitive information in the counseling entity, since it is more widely visible. You should create a child protection case when you have verified that the child meets the intake requirements for case management, for example, according to your prioritization criteria. You should only open a child protection case when you have the consent or assent to proceed with case management. Remember that cases are specific to the individual, so if more than one child needs case management, even in the same family, they should still have their own CP case. CP caseworkers can only see cases that they have created or have been assigned to them, so no one except the person who owns the case can see that one exists. This is important for confidentiality reasons. However, if you try to create a case where one already exists, the system will notify you. CP monitors and super users can see all of the cases. To check if there is already a CP case associated with a registered individual, navigate to the Multi-Entity Search view. Ensure that the child does not already have an active CP case. The child protection caseworker should also check the content of other entities, such as legal protection assessments, counseling, and communication records where relevant. With that, Let's get started. Let us create a CP case in Progress V4 Child Protection module. In order to create a CP case, we will identify the individual for whom we want to create a case. Enter the individual record, go to the top ribbon and click Create. A drop-down menu will appear and you will click CP Case. You will see at the top here that it says you have selected one individual to create a child protection case. In the event that you selected more than one child, you would be able to create CP cases simultaneously for numerous children. However, remember that you will need to put information that is specific to each child, particularly the BIA and BID, for example. Now, to create the child protection case, we need to include the opening date, which is normally the date on which the case has been created. But you can change this date in the event that you are creating a case now, which you have already opened previously. Once you have selected the opening date, you can then set the priority. We have emergency, high, medium, and low priority. In selecting the priority here, it should be according to your operation or officer's prioritization criteria. For the purposes of this tutorial, we are going to select high. Once you have included the opening date and the priority, you can then move on to clicking OK. Now, a child protection case has been created for this individual child. We will need to update the general section. It is recommended that you update the opening type for this case. If a case is referred to you by another section in UNHCR or by a partner, it can be very useful to record the opening type as referral. We click here and you will see that there are different types that you can utilize. For the purpose of this tutorial, we will click Referral. Once referral has been added, it will then ask you what is the source of this referral. You can enter in or you can search. Let's search. We click here and there will be a number of pre-populated options. We are looking to find the UNHCR partner. We will click Look Up More Records. Here in the search bar, you can type in UNHCR partner, or of course the organization's name. Here we have found our partner. We will then click Add. This will update under Source of Referral. Remember to save often. Now that we have created our child protection case, it's time to start updating the case narrative for this individual child. You will scroll down. Below Parent Information, Care Arrangements and Specific Needs, you will find the case narrative. Over here, you have a case summary and personal history, as well as comment blocks. In the case summary section, you will add a couple of sentences to describe the nature of the case. For example, key issues faced and assistance desired by the individual. The case summary is useful to serve as a quick reference for caseworkers and case managers, or as a reference if the case is reopened later on. In the personal history section, you are able to enter a brief overview of the child's history before they came for case management. This might be information that you have come to learn. This information will not change from assessment to assessment. It can be very useful to store previous historical information about the child that will not change in the short term here. Comments can be used to track activity on the case or leave a short note, like you would in your handwritten notes or on an action sheet. You can update these sections anytime with the information that you have. Once you have updated the case narrative, the summary, personal history, and maybe added some comments, you will have effectively created your child protection case. You can now move on to updating the best interest assessment and following through with the next steps of child protection case management.